Much has been made about WWE's roster in 2021, or more specifically, the sudden and complete lack of a roster. It's no secret that WWE have fired a full company's worth of wrestlers so far this year, which has been frustrating for fans and I'm sure wrestlers alike, and I'm sure 2K developers. Thankfully for WWE, they have a rich history full of legends. In fact, by and large, WWE treats their legends a little too well. They tend to have more respect for their past than they do for their present, but that's a different rant for a different video. Today, we're here to discuss some legends who have fallen through the holes of WWE 2K's wide net. Now, it's not like there's ever been a lack of legends in 2K games. The rosters are very, very deep, full of memorable faces from the past. But inevitably, some people are going to fall through the cracks. And since over 80 wrestlers have been fired this year, now seems like as good a time as any to reach deep into that Rolodex, which I assume Vince McMahon still uses, and find some legends who deserve the 2K bag. We're Operation Sports, I'm Matt Ederer, and here are the top 10 legends that haven't appeared in WWE 2K yet. We're going to count this down from least surprising to most surprising omission, starting with the least surprising. Number 10, Superstar Billy Graham. The former WWF champion and WWE Hall of Famer, class of 2004, Billy Graham has been beefing with Vince McMahon on and off since about the 1970s. In fact, in a Facebook post in 2020, Superstar called Vince McMahon, quote, the most evil human being walking the face of the earth, unquote. Which, it seems a tad strong, but hey, feel your feelings, Superstar. Billy Graham definitely has the resume to warrant a 2K appearance, and legitimately is one of the most influential wrestlers of all time, touching people from Hulk Hogan to Chael Sonnen. But, honestly speaking, it shouldn't shock anyone that WWE hasn't used Superstar in one of these games or regularly at all since 1988. If Superstar does end up in a 2K game, I'm afraid it will probably be posthumously. Number 9, Raven. Speaking of people who Vince McMahon just doesn't care for, former WCW and ECW superstar Raven didn't hit the heights in WWE that he did in those other companies, but Raven was a popular character in the 90s and is certainly worthy of a spot on the 2K roster. There were always rumors that Vince McMahon and Raven didn't get along, possibly stemming from Raven's 1993 WWF run as Johnny Polo, where rumors were that Raven and a young Shane McMahon had a habit of partying a little too hard. Raven himself tells a story that he heard, where apparently in a booking meeting in the year 2000, somebody brought Raven's name up, and Vince McMahon said, "Raven? Who the hired Raven?" Raven's words, not mine. Anyway, yeah, maybe let's not hold our breath on this one. I don't really expect this ever happening. Though he was a popular character, Vince McMahon will probably never extend his hand, or bag, over to the Bowery. Number 8, Floyd Money Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is one of the most decorated and successful boxers of all time, and he's also one half of arguably the best celebrity versus wrestler match ever in WWE, Mayweather vs. Big Show. I think the reason that he hasn't been in a 2K game yet is money. In fact, Floyd Mayweather apparently was in talks to appear in SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, but that fell through, again presumably due to money. Mike Tyson stepped in, got the easy payday instead, and the rest is history. If 2K ever did want to drop the bag on Money Mayweather though, he could be an easy choice for a huge name to add to the roster. Number 7, Rick the Model Martell. Rick Martell does not get the respect that he deserves. Former AWA World Champion who was awesome as the fiery babyface of that company in the mid-1980s and had both a great babyface tag team run and a super memorable and entertaining heel run in the WWF. We all remember Rick the Model Martell with his arrogance, both literally and figuratively. Anyway, I think with Rick Martell, it's more of an out-of-sight, out-of-mind thing than anything else. There's no real reason why Rick the Model hasn't been included in 2K, other than the fact that he's been entirely out of the business since 1998. All I know is he has a great character and theme song and would be a welcome addition to 2K games, so I can do Rick the Model versus Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens Quebec triple threats. Winner becomes the new GM of the Montreal Canadiens. Number 6, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorf. Fun fact, Orndorf was an NCAA fullback and tight end who was actually drafted into the NFL by the New Orleans Saints in 1973. Orndorf is most famous for his feud with Hulk Hogan, which culminated in a match in Toronto in the summer of 1986 that drew over 75,000 fans to Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, so says WWE. The actual number was closer to 62,000, which is still crazy impressive and immense, but you know. Orndorf is a WWE Hall of Famer. He was instrumental to Hulk Hogan's rise to stardom in the mid to late 80s, and you know, it's fairly shocking that he hasn't been included in the 2K series yet. He even showed up on Raw a couple times here and there. Unfortunately, Mr. Wonderful passed away at the age of 71 this summer, but putting him in the new 2K game would be an excellent way to honor him, honor his contributions, and send a big chunk of money toward his family. Number 5, Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund was WWF champion for over 2,000 days in his career, behind only Hulk Hogan and Bruno Sammartino in that category, and almost a full 1,000 days clear of John Cena, who was champion for a paltry 1,254 days. Backlund has been in and out of WWE since the mid-90s, reappearing every few years or 10 or so, sticking around on TV for a week or two, and then leaving again for a decade. He was most recently on Raw in 2016, attempting to make Darren Young great again. Somehow this did not lead to a world title push for Darren Young. Anyway, I have no real explanation for why Backlund isn't in a 2K game other than the fact that he is insane. Number 4, the Dynamite Kid. Much like Superstar Billy Graham, but almost the different side of that coin, Dynamite Kid is one of the most influential wrestlers of all time, but rather than doing it through his character work like Superstar, Dynamite Kid did it in the ring. Dream matches with the Dynamite Kid would be a ton of fun to play out on WWE 2K. How about Dynamite Kid versus Rey Mysterio? Or Dynamite Kid versus Ricochet? Or Dynamite Kid versus Daniel Bryan? Wait, no, not that one. Much like Bob Backlund, the only explanation I have for Dynamite Kid being left out of 2K games is that he was pretty insane. Not even in the fun, wacky, I'll only sign an autograph if you can name all the US presidents Bob Backlund way. More like the dark side of the ring way. It's not like Dynamite Kid would be the only terrible person in a wrestling game though. I think it's pretty surprising that Dynamite hasn't been included in at least one of these 2K games to date, and it wouldn't shock me to see the Kid included down the road. Number 3 and 2, Peter Mayavia and Rocky Johnson. Coming in as our bronze and silver most shocking omissions are The Rock's father and grandfather and the two halves of his original Rocky Maivia name. Peter Mayavia was a well-traveled NWA and WWF superstar who was actually in a James Bond movie. Rocky Johnson is a former WWF Tag Team Champion who often challenged for the NWA title across the United States and Canada. I think they check the fame box, and as two of the patriarchs of Samoan wrestling, they definitely have the historical importance. I don't know if you saw Survivor Series 2021, but it was basically a love letter to The Rock. WWE loves them some Dwayne Johnson. And hey, we all love some Dwayne Johnson. Who doesn't love The Rock? You know, it might be time to send his family a couple more paychecks. I'm not sure that WWE has given this family enough money. But again, zero hate or disrespect. Who doesn't love The Rock? Let's drop another bag. Number 1, Mae Young. I think this is another example of out of sight, out of mind, just because we don't have much, if any, footage of prime Mae Young. Mae started wrestling in either the late 1930s or early 1940s, depending on who you want to believe, but was a pioneer of women's wrestling in North America. In fact, she was wrestling in Memphis, Tennessee on December 7th, 1941, the day Pearl Harbor was bombed. Prime Mae Young should get more respect than she does from WWE, just for being a pioneer. Although that does slightly clash with the narrative that Stephanie McMahon invented women's wrestling. As a true trailblazer in the wrestling business, Mae Young deserves more accolades, she deserves more respect, and putting her in this 2K game would be a great start. It would be hard to include the Attitude Era Mae Young. It would kind of be doing her dirty in a way. But then again, she was super popular and she was getting thrown through tables regularly in those days, so she was as much a member of the active roster in 1999 and 2000 as anyone. She's a bigger star than like Meat or Chaz, Midian, Tiger Ali Singh, the Blue Meanie. I could keep going forever here. That's going to do it for us today at Operation Sports, but keep it locked here for the best coverage in all of sports and video games. It's the end of the year. You know what that means. We're going to have all kinds of lists, wrap-ups, and fun stuff as we close out 2021 and head into 2022. We have a ton of entertaining and informative articles over at the main page, the mothership, operationsports.com. We have our fight expert Prince talking Fight Night and Esports Boxing Club as those games continue to take shape here on YouTube. We also have Brian Unique Mazik, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, doing great stuff for us consistently. Be sure to check out his video about the MLB show Stadium Creator and what it needs if you haven't yet. Also, my name is Matt Ederer. I make videos around here every few weeks or so. Keep it locked for some cool things coming in December. If you want to hear more of me, I host a few podcasts for SNME Radio. Check those out if you like wrestling. My good pal and co-host Boris Aguilar and I are doing the wrap-up shows, the after parties for every pay-per-view. So after every WWF pay-per-view in 2022, we're going to be coming live with a podcast, possibly sometimes on YouTube with video. We're going to figure that out. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. Big things coming in 2022.